Hi, I'm Terry White, and I'm going to show you how to make a cute little springy trim. Okay, so what I'm doing here is making this happy little flower trim. Okay, isn't that cute? So I start with some bias tape. Now, this was a green that I didn't like, so I over-dyed the green with yellow, so I got this springy green. Then, of course, I had to put it through my bias maker and iron it to get it back to beautiful bias tape. The flowers are made by fusing two fabrics together. So I've got two different hand dye fabrics, and I put fusible web, I use Wonder Under, on one of the fabrics and then fuse it to the other. And then I trace my little flower around, and then I cut them out. So I end up with a double fused shape. Okay, so there's fabric on both sides. The fusible web puts the two pieces together, and by ironing it, you fuse them together so you have a really good bond, and it makes it a piece that has a lot of body. So, because I use the dyed fabric, the hand-dyed fabric, I have all of these different colors. It depends on, of course, what kind of colors that you like and that you use. Okay? So when I'm stitching these flowers on, I can do them in a random, I'm doing them in a random color scheme. I don't have a set color scheme. So it gives it a little more of a natural, fun feeling to it. Alright, so here is yellow crochet cotton. Actually, I had over-dyed this as well. In fact, I'd used the same dye bath. It was a yellow Rit dye, and so sometimes I just wind up a bunch of crochet cotton and throw it in there in the dye so that I have new colors. And also, I'm not really careful with the way I dye, so I get a variegated look. Not really, great and perfect. All right, so I've got this little piece. I guess it's cut about 6 or 7 inches long, and I use this tool right here. Okay, so I end up with this, and then I smash it in half like this. Now there's another thread that I'm using for this trim, and this is also an over-dyed cotton that I had, cotton string that I had. It had been a variegated blue, green, and a kind of a purple, and I put it also in the same yellow Rit dye bath with the bias tape and the solid white crochet cotton. So I get materials that have the same color cast because I over-dyed them with the same bath. And so I'm doubling this green thread, and I'll show you how I'm putting it all together. So I've laid down my bias binding, and you can see that I don't have a foot on the machine. I'm going to lay down the two strands of the green variegated crochet cotton. And I'm going to lay down my little flower. And I'm not really measuring it all perfectly at all. I want them to be close together, far away together. I'm making this very random. So I'm going to just lay that right on top of there. And then I've got my little yellow stamens, center of the flower. And I'm going to squish it in there, and I'm going to try real hard to hold it together with my fingers. And then I'm going to scoot it up, and I'm going to put the presser foot down. Presser foot down, the ankle of the foot on the machine is going to hold that down. Now this is the thing, the needle is, I'd say, 1/8 of an inch or a little bit more than that in front of that ankle right there. So to be sure you get it where you want it, you can do this, okay? Needle up, needle down with your wheel. But I'm telling you right now, I don't do that every time, because after a while you get into sort of a rhythm. Okay? Now, the stitch that I have yellow thread. Oops. I have yellow variegated thread. Sorry about that. I have yellow variegated thread in my needle, and I'm doing a zigzag stitch, and it is a really wide zigzag stitch. Now I'm going to keep my finger way, way away from, look at, the only reason why this is happening is because I'm filming this. Okay. I'm going to keep my fingers way, way away from this needle. And if I ever put my fingers near this needle, my foot is nowhere near the foot pedal for the sewing machine. Just want you to know. So I'm going to hold the back of my trim, and I'm holding the front of the yellow loops. And then it's just a zigzag stitch. Now, see? That is it. Now, press your foot up, scooting forward. Another little flower on here. Oh, I do not have a pre-wound stamen. I'm going to wind this. I'm going to wind this now. I'm going to tell you something. The zigzag stitch I have at the widest width. I also have the thread tension, top thread tension lowered, and on this machine I've got it down to -4. You want that top thread to be as loose as a goose. And I will say that my bobbin thread is the same thread as I have in my top needle. Now, it is a zigzag stitch. You can also use a bar tack if you have that on your machine. I'm using a zigzag stitch here, and I have it set at stitch length on this machine of 0.2, which makes the zigzag almost like a satin stitch, but it's pretty much stitching in one spot. It's coming forward just a tiny bit. So every once in a while, okay, because I'm talking to you, every once in a while it's like, ugh. But then it's nice because that's going to hold down the back of it, and I hold down the front of it, and then I'm holding the back of my bias tape. And it's just a, whoops, look what happened because I let go. Zoop. And so I put the presser foot up so that I can scoot it back. That releases the thread tensions. Alright. So I've got all of these. And then I cut this top thread. This is the jump thread from the end of one stitch to the beginning of the next stitch. Okay, so here is my finished trim. I've got about 2 yards of it, and you can see that I've cut the jump threads between each flower. And then you can tease these loops out with a bamboo skewer. See, of course, my angle's kind of weird here. Alright, so it makes them a little more fluffy. And, is that fun? Now I've got them rolled on my, my private label spools that I made. So here is The flowers here are basically inspired by the wild violets in my grass outside of my backyard. So I take a lot of my inspiration from my backyard. Isn't that fun? Okay, so have fun and enjoy the process.